share the word of God from the book of Samuel. Many a times are when we are faced with challenges. But now the question is, when you are faced with challenges, where do we go? Where do we seek for help? I want us to study the character of Hannah from the book of 1 Samuel. I'm aware that some of us or all of us are aware of this story of Hannah. Hannah was a woman of faith who endured years of barrenness because the Bible records that she was not able to have a child of her own. Despite her pain, the pain of being told that she cannot have a child by his co-wife, she turned to God in prayers, seeking His mercy and grace. We will explore the depth of her unwavering trust and the ultimate reward, that is being given Samuel. And this Samuel later turned out to be a very great blessing to the Israelites. So it is worth for us to wait upon the Lord. And to kickstart this, we are going to read the book of Samuel. That is the book of 1 Samuel 1 up to, we shall read up to verse 18. Thank you. There was a man named Elkanah from the tribe of Ephraim who lived in the town of Ramah in the hill country of Ephraim. He was the son of Jeroham and grandson of Elihu, and belonged to the family of Tohu, a part of the clan of Zuph. Elkanah had two wives, Hannah and Peninnah. Here we are introduced now to a man known as Elkanah. Elkanah was polygamous. He had two wives, that is Hannah and Peninnah. Peninnah had children, but Hannah had none. Every year, Elkanah went from Ramah to worship and offer sacrifices to the Lord Almighty at Shiloh, where Hophni and Phinehas, the two sons of Elkanah, were priests of the Lord. So Peninnah had two sons, Phinehas and Hophni. The two of them were priests. Each time Elkanah offered his sacrifice, he would give one share of the meat to Peninnah and one share to each of her children, that is Hophni and Phinehas. And even though he loved Hannah very much, he would give her only one share because the Lord had kept her from having children. Despite Hannah lacking a child, Elkanah, his husband, saw it fit to give her a share so that he could also sacrifice to the Lord. Peninnah, her rival, will torment and humiliate her because the Lord had kept her childless. This went on year after year. Whenever they went to the house of the Lord, Peninnah would upset Hannah so much that she would cry and refuse to eat anything. She will refuse to eat anything. Her husband Elkanah will ask her, Hannah, why are you crying? Why won't you eat? Why are you always so sad? Don't I mean more to you than 10 sons? One day, after they had finished their meal in the house of the Lord at Shiloh, Hannah got up. She was deeply distressed, and she cried bitterly as she prayed to the Lord. Meanwhile, Eli the priest was sitting in his place by the door. Hannah made a solemn promise. Almighty Lord, look at me, your servant. See my trouble and remember me. Don't forget me. If you give me a son, I promise that I will dedicate him to you for his whole life and that he will never have his hair cut. So we are told that Hannah continued to pray to the Lord for a long time, and Eli watched her lips. She was praying silently. Her lips were moving, but she made no sound. So Eli thought that she was drunk and said to her, "Stop making a drunken show of yourself. Stop your drinking and sober up." And Hannah replied to Eli, "No, I am not drunk, sir." She answered, "I haven't been drinking. I am desperate, and I have been praying, pouring out my troubles to the Lord. Don't think that I am a worthless woman. I have been praying like this because I am so miserable." "Go in peace," Eli said, "and may the God of Israel give you what you have asked him for." "May you always think kindly of me," she replied. Then she went away, ate some food, and was no longer sad. From this story of Hannah, we have seen all she went through from the torment of Peninnah. But one thing that is coming up very strongly is that whenever Hannah was faced with problems, the problems drew her closer to God. And that is the calling that we are supposed to have. Anytime that we are faced with troubles, we are supposed to have our faith in God. Let our trouble draw us closer to God. Something that has interested me here is that when Eli saw Hannah praying, she thought Hannah was drunk. Many a times when we see people who are committed to godly things, we wonder why? What is up with them? But maybe there is something that they are crying to God for, praying that they may be given so. Verse 15, "No, I am not drunk, sir," she answered. "I haven't been drinking. I am desperate and I have been praying, pouring out my troubles to the Lord. Don't think I'm a worthless woman." Sometimes the troubles that we go through, they make us not get interested in what we used to love. And this is where now the mental health issues come in. You know, when you talk about mental health, we talk about how we feel, think, and also how we behave. And if how we think, feel, and behave changes, we tend to have a lot of mental problems from stress, etc. From there, we go to the book of Psalms, the book of Psalms 27, verse 14, which says, "Trust in the Lord, have faith, do not despair." This book of Psalms is trying to encourage us that in whatever we go through, let us put our trust in God. Let us trust in Him alone, for in Him we shall have life. And finally, to conclude, the book of Romans 8, verse 28. This is to encourage us that whatever we go through, we should know that all things work for good with those who love Him. All things work for good for those who love Him. Thank you for your time.